I'd say this is where the magic happens, but you read our stuff. It's not magic. Here in the press box at Ohio Stadium, Doug Maurice with Bill Landis and Ari Wasserman after Ohio State's win over Indiana on Saturday. And we're thinking about this win. Darren Lee, after the game, said it made them sick to their stomach the way they won. Urban Meyer said that when you are at Ohio State, you have a high bar and you can do all these great things and still not feel good. We're trying to figure out what this win, how we judge this win for Ohio State. So on a 1 to 10 scale, and Bill, on a 1 to 10 scale, which one's the good end?
10.
10 is good, 1 is not good. What's your 1 to 10 for this Ohio State win over Indiana?
You know, for a while, when it looked like Ohio State was going to win 28-20, I probably would have given it like a 3 or a 4. That's how bad they looked for the majority of this game. But then they blew it open and scored 42 points, right? 42-27. I don't know, a 6 maybe. I said a 5 for last week against Minnesota, and this win ended up being a little more lopsided. They looked certainly like the better team in the fourth quarter when they blew it open, but the offense struggled. The play calling I thought was strange too. The defense gave up a 200-yard rusher. They turned the ball over 3 times again, which is becoming an increasing issue. So I'll say 6.
That's a lot of stuff for a 6.
Well, they still won. I don't know. I mean, it's.
Here's what I know you have a good point to make.
That's okay.
I gave them a 6 last week for Minnesota, which was higher than what you guys gave them. That was on the road. This was at home. And this game was in doubt. Ohio State had to return a punt for a touchdown with 2 minutes left in the third quarter to take the lead.
Did you feel like they were going to lose? Did you ever feel like they were going to lose?
I said it would be big the way Ohio State came out on its first drive in the third quarter, because at halftime it felt like, you know what, this is one of those games where the good team's not playing well, but the good team's going to pull away.
Some credit for what you said.
Well, it sort of went as I thought it would. But then Ohio State didn't drive. They ended up punting on that drive. They moved the ball a little bit, but they started so deep in their own territory that they didn't do anything on the scoreboard with it. And then Indiana took the lead. And so when any team takes the lead in the third quarter, that's the real deal then. So I thought, it was in jeopardy. If let's say they don't punt it to him, and it just gets downed at the 40-yard line. Great field position for Ohio State, but the offense had struggled. If they go 3 and out there, punt it back, when you need a special teams play to spark you, I don't know. I think it's a little lower than a 6. All right, what are you going to give it?
Whoa, if I would have just told you before the game the score was going to be 42-27, what do you think your initial reaction would have been?
I would not have been surprised by that, but I would have thought, okay win.
I would have been like, wow, my outrageous prediction was not outrageous to me. I thought this team should have played and is as better as they were in the final quarter, final 15 minutes of this game for an entire game. And to be in a situation where the game is in doubt, it kind of felt like Navy a little bit, where it's like you don't give the opponent credit. It's they're hanging around. Then all of a sudden there's a point in the mid-third quarter, like you said, when Indiana took the lead, where it became real for a minute. And like the vibe in this press box and the vibe in this stadium was just like, wow, how's the committee going to take it? How is Ohio State going to lose potentially? And then all of a sudden they scored like 4 touchdowns. And like it was like everything didn't happen. So to me, I'm going to be a little bit harsher because I don't want to forget the first 3 quarters of this game. And I think I'm going to be in between. I think I'm going to give him a 4, and I was even going to give him a 3 maybe, depending on what Landis did. But he bumped the average up a little bit. Or maybe I should bring it down then. I'm going to give him a 3. And I'm not saying the committee or however everything, they'll take that game what it is. But as far as what Ohio State was capable of, what they needed to prove today to the nation, and how much better they are than Indiana, I don't think they really accomplished anything until the last 7 to 10 minutes of the game.
Now, here's the thing. Lots of good teams are throwing some 3s and 4s out there this week. Florida State had to win on a last-second field goal against a Boston College team that's basically a 500 team. Alabama in the first quarter was not pulling away from Western Carolina before they got. There's a standard. There's a standard for Ohio State when they're in this picture. It's hard to live up to the standard every week. It's hard for anyone to live up to the standard every week. And just because we might say this is a 4 or 5 or a 6 for Ohio State doesn't mean other people aren't doing that. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to fall in the rankings. You have to take everybody else into consideration. But I think in the end, I'm going to give them a 4 because Minnesota beat Nebraska on Saturday. So, at Minnesota, Ohio State had some problems there. Minnesota is, I think, a significantly better team overall than Indiana. Indiana has a better running back. Minnesota's a better team. So, I mean, this is a winless Big Ten team. They're 0-7. Indiana's 0-7 in the Big Ten. So at home, and I think the committee especially makes a big difference between road and home games. So to do it at home, I think there was a shadow of the Virginia Tech game that passed over this stadium today when it was the middle of the third quarter against an inferior opponent, and Ohio State wasn't moving the ball. And you thought, as you have pointed out many times this year, Ari, how Ohio State had 3 cracks to take the lead in that game, got the ball 3 times and didn't do it. You were starting to reach that territory of if Jalen Marshall hadn't taken that punt back at that moment, I don't know how much faith people had in the Ohio State offense to drive and win this game. Then once they got ahead, then stuff went crazy, and the quarterback for Indiana started throwing it to the Buckeyes, and things rolled. But at that moment, I don't know how much faith I would have had on the Buckeyes to drive to take the lead.
Well, which is crazy because they scored 14 points without even trying on the first 2 drives.
Right.
So it's so interesting to me how a team can be so superior, and I hate to use the inferior, but it's true.
Right.
It's 2 different worlds, 2 different planets of football teams. So what happens between the 14 points and going for it on 4th down inside the 5 because you don't respect your opponent to not being able to get a first down? I personally don't feel like I felt that wave of Virginia Tech. I mean, I never really considered that Indiana was going to win the game because bad teams always break after one big thing, and they broke once Jalen took it back. But the fact is that Ohio State played a bad game against a bad team for a really long time. It wasn't like a quarter and a half. We're talking borderline
almost 3 quarters.
I mean, and that's a long, long time.
They did put up more than 500 yards of offense for a team that looked like it couldn't move the ball for stretches. But I think the other thing to point out here is it's not like Urban Meyer said all the same stuff that we're saying. Other players said things. The standard is there. The bar is set. And for what they've been and what they can be, they fell a little short today. So are you sticking with your 6?
No. You guys made me feel like an idiot, actually. No, I don't know why I said 6. 6 is wrong. It's not a 6. It's a 4.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going 2.5 now.
Ohio State, of course, getting Michigan at home next week. Michigan lost to Maryland. Michigan will be playing for bowl eligibility, among many, many other things, including saving their season and probably saying goodbye to their coach at Ohio Stadium next Saturday. We, of course, will have tons and tons and tons and tons of Ohio State-Michigan coverage all week. As always, thanks for reading and for watching here at cleveland.com. For Bill Landis and Ari Wasserman, I'm Doug Lane Maurice.